Welcome to the Rewrite Your Story with Tasha Joe podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the vast realm of thoughts, ideas, and conversations that know no bounds. Buckle up and prepare for a wild ride as we venture into uncharted territories and explore the unexplored. On this journey, we leave no stone unturned and no topic untouched. Tune in, fasten your seatbelt, and prepare for a roller coaster ride through the vast expanse of human curiosity. Get ready to be amazed, enlightened, and entertained, because on this podcast, there's only one rule. There are no rules. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back. On today's episode, I have Lona, the owner of Lona Teaches Bliss.
Yes, I am a Neo Tantra teacher and sexual bliss coach. So that means that I teach workshops of how to live in the bliss of the present moment in your body in this moment. And I do coaching that combines the ancient powers of tantric practice like breath, movement, sound, energy, mindfulness,
All the good things.
with cutting-edge somatic psychology to bring people whole life liberation through their sexuality.
Okay. And how did you get started with that?
Oh my gosh, witchcraft.
Oh, that's how it started?
That's how it
Oh,
started.
no way.
Yes, during the pandemic, I lost my fancy corporate job the day before it was declared a pandemic. And so I was unemployed, and my friend brought over some lovely books because I was so bored. And he brought over this book of how to become a witch in a year. And it's all of these practices you study for a year and a day, and you study basically it teaches you like the rules of the universe so that you can flow with and create with the universe.
So you were just doing all that entire year, digging in. Oh
digging
my
in.
gosh.
And then I got to the sex magic portion of witchcraft and was totally obsessed. I've been obsessed with sex my whole life.
Yep.
And if you Google sex magic, Tantra keeps coming up. So I was like, this is weird.
And you didn't know what Tantra was at that time?
I did not. I have
Okay.
heard the word a couple times. You know, you hear Mick Jagger had
Yeah.
like 10-hour sex with his wife or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was all that I knew.
I think
didn't
the
know
only
anything.
time I had ever heard it was at like Lover's Package or something, like in
Yeah.
that area, you know?
Yeah, like it's always relating to sex, especially in the Western world.
Yeah.
And so I got a book, and then I got another book, and I got another book, and I was obsessed. I was unemployed, so all day I was practicing and
awesome.
exploring and just having a great time. And then I was looking for a job, and nothing that I ever applied for sounded amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I would rather do nothing and lose this house than take that awful job.
Good for you.
And somewhere along the way, I came across this Tantra teacher training, and it was in Greece. It was 30 days, a 200-hour training in 30
So did you go to
days.
Greece?
I did go to Greece
Wow.
in 2021.
Wow.
Yes.
So
You had
cool.
to get a fancy COVID test to even enter
Oh,
the
yep.
country and everything. And it was all worth it. It was absolutely incredible. Changed my life in every way. And of course, we're on like literally waterfront on like the Aegean Sea, like waking up every day in paradise. And
Oh
then
my goodness.
doing 10 hours of Tantra workshops a day.
That sounds so fun. So fun.
Yeah. And then I came back, and I remember you were one of the first people I came to. I came to you and I was like, hey, I want to start teaching these workshops. I don't know where else to start.
Oh, wow. And look at us 5 years later, and oh my goodness. So what is Tantra for those people who are wanting a more in-depth description of like the process of it?
Yes, absolutely. And I've just written an amazing blog that really encapsulates what it means based on this tattoo that I just got.
Which is beautiful. I'm obsessed.
Yes, it's like this lioness, which is like my business spirit and all of this beautiful symbolism. And it's like the divine feminine. And as I was getting it, I got it yesterday, sitting in the chair for 5 hours. And this is on my ankle, the top of my foot, and my
Not
shin.
a fun spot.
Really not a fun spot at all. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, wow, this is, how am I going to continue to sit here? Because this is like excruciatingly painful.
Mhm.
And then the teaching came to me of when I go into pleasure and I get into really intense pleasure, I've trained myself to relax my body to receive and expand the pleasure. And so there's this like radical acceptance of whatever's happening right here, right now, and then just exploring it from there. So I would say one of the key teachings and meanings of Tantra is radical acceptance,
Okay.
so that you're not resisting whatever's happening. You're meeting the moment exactly where it is, even when you're in shadow, even when you're in darkness, even when you're in difficulty and despair. You're meeting that moment with utter openness and acceptance so that you can move through it
I
and
love that.
expand into it.
I love that.
Mhm.
Wow. And so with Tantra, because Tantra is one thing that I still haven't attended any of Lona's workshops. I don't know why I've resisted, and I'm wondering why. Could you answer that for people who are feeling that resistance to it?
Yeah, I absolutely get this all the time. People
Yeah.
are like, whoa, I don't want to like get naked and masturbate in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not all the workshops,
Yeah.
you know,
Each one
that's
is totally different,
yeah,
right? They have
exactly.
themes.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
very different. So with the workshops, I'm using a different method with each workshop to get you into the present moment in the body. So sometimes that's through the heart, and we're opening up through the heart, and that's our sort of portal to the present moment. Sometimes we're opening through the root. Sometimes we're opening through pleasure or
Mm,
energy or breath or
yeah.
movement. And so it's really unique because no one really knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I plan the workshop, I'm not even entirely sure what's going to
Yeah.
happen. I like remain open. And that's part of like learning to
Yep.
become an even better teacher is like learning how to expand and move with the energy.
Yeah.
And every group is different. So
Yeah.
sometimes we go off in a different direction and sometimes we don't. And I think it's that unknown
I think so.
that
Probably.
really gets people scared and
Yeah.
confused. And then you're also operating on whatever preconceived notions they have about Tantra.
Or what people have said,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so a lot of times people associate Tantra with sex. And I do not judge people. I got into Tantra
Yeah.
for sex magic.
Yeah.
That was the portal that opened up to me that allowed me to move into Tantra. And Tantra is so much more than just the sexual practices.
Yeah.
Some people say Tantra is like 8% sexuality. And I'm talking about classical Tantra
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So classical Tantra began in around India about 5 to 7,000 years ago. People enlightened through it and then learned once they got through the enlightenment how to teach it to other people. And so classical Tantra is very different from Neo Tantra.
Okay.
Neo
And you do
Tantra
Neo
is what I
Tantra.
teach.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And what is the difference between the two?
Yeah. So in classical Tantra, you have a guru and you're the student of the guru. So you're like committed to the lineage. You're practicing the lineage
Okay.
every day. You're like part of the classical Tantra piece there in India. And for very good reasons, they didn't often teach public workshops when it came to classical Tantra because they were afraid that people would latch on to the sexuality
Mm.
piece and use that in a destructive way.
Mm-hmm.
And when big gurus came to America, they learned that A, people had no idea what Tantra was. They hadn't even heard the word. They were very disconnected from their bodies. They could not meditate for more than a few minutes. And so the Tantra gurus that came to America had to change the teachings to meet people exactly where they were. And so they started teaching public workshops and they started publishing what they were saying and publishing what these gurus were saying and going deeper into letting people explore it from their own perspective.
Mm.
Because in India, you grow up hearing about
Yep.
Tantra, and so you might become interested and go seek it out. But
Yeah.
no one would seek it out here unless we made it
Yeah.
more popular, more mainstream, so that
Mm-hmm.
people knew what it was. Now, of course, it was co-opted in many different ways to become more sexual. Because, of course, if I say, hey, do you want to like meditate and learn how to be in your body? Sure, I'll get some people.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, do you want to have better sex, epic relationships, fall deeper in love with yourself and all
Yeah.
of the people around you? People will be like,
Yep.
heck yeah,
Yeah. Let's go.
sign me up for that. So, what I found is that by leaning more into the sexuality piece and allowing that to be more of the front and center, you're going to cast a bigger net. And
Mm-hmm.
once you cast that net, I actually have no control over what people are going to do
Yeah.
with the knowledge that I give them. I hope and I leave it up to the goddess to let that manifest in them however it needs to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
So when I teach a workshop, I'm not trying to convert people to Tantra. I'm not trying to get people to follow me. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to change people's lives into something that they don't want. I'm trying to open a door so that they have a new perspective to look at things. because I can build on the thousands of years of tantric gurus,
Yep.
and I can help people exactly where they are. So
Yeah.
Neo Tantra is meeting people in the moment where they are without any preconceived notions or expectations about what they're going to do before or what they do after your workshop. And so I really embrace and love the neo tantric aspect. Some people,
Yeah.
and I get this, people will comment on my stuff like,
Mhm.
oh, neo tantra, like you're not really in it. And I'm like, you want to be really in it, you got to go to India and you got to
Yeah.
study under a guru.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair for people to even comment unless they've tried it themselves, you know?
Oh man. Yeah, they see Neo and they're like, "Oh, new age. I can't do this new age stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's not grounded in the past and reality."
Yeah.
And that's just something we're always going to fight after.
Yeah, and your classes, I mean, Lona's workshops book out every single
Yeah.
time, literally every single time. So I definitely need to try one. So what are some of the different themes that you do?
Yeah, my next workshop is really cool. It's called Primal Shadow Play, and it's going to be amazing. I keep telling people about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to get deep into the primal. So I'm going to activate everyone's primal, get everyone really in their bodies using breath, movement, sound, energy. And then we're going to explore and almost like greet this deep primal self within you. And then after we meet that primal self, we're going to go to the underworld and reclaim one of your shadow selves.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds
it's crazy.
amazing. And somebody who loves doing shadow work, what would that look like for somebody who doesn't see things, hear things, but they're going through this workshop?
Yeah, so I really preach through the body.
Mm,
And so there is sometimes some visualization and stuff. And what I say for that often is visualization and imagination are one in the same.
mm.
So when you visualize it, sometimes it often feels like it's coming from somewhere else,
Yeah.
but that's imagination too. You're just sort of building the
Yeah.
plot a
So it's
little
more
bit
about the
more.
feeling or all
Yeah.
about the
Yeah,
feeling.
so it's all about
Okay.
the feeling, and really I'm getting them into their bodies. So as much as we can, we're leaving the mind behind because we're doing so much with the body. We're going to be breathing really heavily and we're going to be moving the body a lot and jumping around. And
Yeah.
once you get into the state and you're around, a group of 20 people who are also
Oh,
in that
yeah. They're
state,
all in it.
yeah, it's really surprising how quickly you can drop into it. Because if
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we're going to get really primal and then we're going to like touch ourselves in pleasure and then we're going to go to the underworld. At first, people are like, wow, I don't know if I can do that. But
Yeah.
as soon as you get into
Oh,
it,
man.
you'll
Do
be
the shit
touching
that's
yourself.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What would you say would be like, trying to think here? Well, no, let's talk about you just went to Burning Man and right? You are constantly traveling. So let's tell
Yes.
people about these trips you've gone on.
Yeah, well, Burning Man is maybe one of my favorite things in the whole world.
Yeah. I remember
We
when you came back.
Yeah, and this was my 3rd year in a row going.
Really?
So now I'm
Oh,
just getting
wow.
deeper and deeper.
And weren't you actually teaching at Burning Man? You didn't
Yeah.
just attend it.
Yeah, so one of the things about Burning Man is everyone gifts something,
Okay.
and so I knew that I wanted my gift to be workshops. And so I Googled Burning Man camps that help teach workshops,
Yeah.
and I found this beautiful camp called Naked Heart,
Okay.
and we put that first year over 250 workshops in 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah, we just had a ton of amazing
Wow.
teachers, and I just wanted to be surrounded by other teachers, other
Yeah.
facilitators, other leaders that had something new that they were offering. And especially at Burning Man, because it is so alternative,
Yeah.
you're not just getting the, you know, sanitized teachings that are
Yeah.
out there, you're
Yeah.
getting really deep.
Yeah.
And at Naked Heart, they really encourage you to like teach what is uncomfortable, teach what you can't
Mhm.
teach in the default world, and use this Burning Man portal as a way to expand your own teaching.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first year I went, I taught 2 workshops, and then I actually learned how to teach one of the workshops that they offer there 5 times,
Okay.
and I taught one of those as well.
Wow. And you don't just do workshops, you do coaching, like one-on-one and couples, and what all do you
I
offer?
do one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
I'm learning to do couples coaching right now,
Okay.
but that is a very elaborate training
Yeah.
too,
Oh, I
so
bet.
a little while away.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the coaching really plays on because I became a Neo Tantra teacher first, and then I decided this is amazing and I love
Mm-hmm.
teaching, but this isn't going to pay all the bills, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, totally.
So I decided to just Google like Tantra coaching. I had no idea what I
Yeah.
would come up with, and I found Layla Martin, and she does an amazing program.
Local or like online?
No, she's online.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
all online. It's called Vita Coaching, and yeah, she's pretty popular on Instagram, YouTube, that kind of stuff. And she really rewrites the narrative
Mm,
on what it means to be a Tantra or a Neo Tantra teacher and how to really integrate that into your life. She's meeting people exactly where they are
okay.
to expand them and to introduce them to things that they've never heard of. Because I was even given this opportunity, like when I got the Tantra teacher training, there was a lot of people in that training that were like, I'm not going to call myself a Tantra teacher
Yeah.
because people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
People have preconceived notions. People will be more confused. And I took the path of, I'm going to claim this and introduce people to something that they don't know. And I'm taking a risk here
Yeah.
in all of the shadows that can come up in people. But I'm also giving them an opportunity to learn about Tantra.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll see like embodiment workshops or
Yeah.
breath workshops and stuff like that. And they're all playing on these same principles of Tantra,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not really crediting Tantra with it, whether they learned through it as Tantra or they learned it through a different way.
Okay.
I wanted to keep the word in there and just bring more attention to that.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I think it's the people who do take the risks, and look at you now.
I know. Yeah.
You're killing it. So where else, what's a month look like for you? How often do you teach? Where at do you teach?
Yeah, I try to teach 2 workshops a month, and my workshops are 2.5 hours, so they're
Okay.
pretty involved. I teach one in Bremerton a month and one in Seattle a month.
Okay.
Right now, the place I was teaching in Seattle closed. The rent got too crazy, so
Okay.
I'm currently searching for another
Okay.
place.
Good to know. I know a couple places.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then I coach during the week, so I coach Tuesday through Friday. I take Mondays off because I teach on the weekends so often that I needed like one day
Yeah,
that I wasn't working.
absolutely.
And I usually end up working on it anyway.
Yeah,
Of
totally.
course.
Me too.
That balance is,
Yeah.
of course, impossible. Yeah, and I probably work with like 8 people right now in the coaching, which is absolutely phenomenal.
So awesome.
And I do trades and stuff too. I got this tattoo as a trade.
That's what we were just talking about. So if you're somebody interested, definitely reach out to Lona, right? Depending on what you have to offer, she, will definitely see if it's a good fit. What else do we have? Is there anything else that you're wanting to?
Oh, Burning Man. Well, back to that topic.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about Burning Man is that it does operate on this gifting economy, and that's one of the main principles. So everyone's there gifting, and that
Love
means
that.
that everything is free. So once you pay, like I've paid for the ticket to get into Burning Man, to like the entry fee, and I've paid the dues to my camp for like the food and the structures and everything.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I don't spend another dollar. Even the drugs are free. Absolutely wild to me. So you can kind of like forget about money for a while and really and it's not a trade. I don't give the workshop and then people give me free things. I give the workshop and then I go out
Okay.
onto the playa and I climb on the art that's there
So cool.
and I listen to music and I interact with the art cars and there's like all of these wonderful adventures together.
Didn't you have a really wild experience at one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of them are wild.
But wasn't
experiences.
this last one, or maybe it wasn't Burning Man? I just remember you saying something wild happened.
Well, last year at Burning Man, it rained.
Okay.
Which is extremely uncommon.
Okay.
It's usually a drought out there. It's one of the most unforgiving climates in the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
Where it's a high plains desert. So we're at like 4,000 feet of elevation and it's all dust. It's not sand.
So nobody was
pure
prepared for the
dust.
rain at all.
Yeah, no one is, because there wasn't even a warning.
Wow.
There was no warning. I just looked up one moment and I was like, is it raining? That's weird. And then it rained for 3 days. It rained like 3 months worth of rain in the winter
Whoa.
in those 3
my
days.
Goodness.
And the dust turned to clay because it's a lake bed. We're on like an ancient lake bed out there.
Not mud, but like clay.
Like clay. So it
Oh my
sticks
God.
to everything.
Yeah.
You can't move. It was just a disaster. And it was one of the best experiences of my
right?
life.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Because Burning Man gives you the burn you need, not the burn you want. And so there's all this magic and all these lessons and all these things happen out there. And it took and it was the weekend. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It
Okay.
rained. And so all your plans were ruined. Everything you thought that your burn was going to be was ruined. And it was about this radical acceptance because, okay, so that's different. So what are we going to do now? And we're like taking in refugees whose like entire camps were destroyed.
Yeah.
Like all their food was destroyed. They didn't have water anymore.
So was it really ruined? No.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an outrageously amazing and beautiful experience.
So awesome. What other experiences have you had? Because I'm always hearing crazy things from you. So what else is something you can share with people?
I did ayahuasca for the first time.
Did you?
year.
Oh, I'm still waiting to do it.
It was the most beautiful experience of my
I
entire
bet.
life. It was 3 nights in a row. So for like 10 hours a night,
Oh
because
my
we
God.
waited till like dusk to start. From like dusk until sunrise.
Where,
3
did you
nights
do
in
it
a row.
locally? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just up the road, like 45 minutes
Oh,
from here.
what?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And there was about 30 people who did it together. And one of
That's
the
a
cool
lot of
things,
people. Yeah.
one of the cool things was we agreed to noble silence. So that meant that no one
Silence.
should ever hear you move. No one should hear you breathe, and you're not allowed to talk. And you could cry, you could laugh, and you could ask for help. But outside of those things, and you could throw up, of course.
Yeah.
But outside of those things, you promised everyone not to make a sound.
Is that something you can control?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was
I didn't know that.
surprisingly, you're really in control of your body.
Okay.
Sure, there are moments you're
Yeah.
like out there, but you're not moving your body when
Yeah.
you're out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised because I've done many of the
Yeah.
medicines out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to want to like dance or whatever it is. And you could stand whenever you wanted. And there was like space to move around, but you had to be silent when you did it.
Interesting.
And there was this one time where I was the only person standing because you know this about me, but
Yeah.
let me tell everyone else.
Yeah,
I'm like
definitely.
unafraid to be in front of people.
Yep.
I'm unafraid to like claim my space. And I'm like
I love that about you.
Okay.
I admire that.
dancing. And so I felt, I was like, I'm getting up. And so I like stood up and silently for like 15 minutes, I did this entire dance
Moved.
just completely silently in the center of the room. And it was liberating. It was magical. And that weekend, so my intention was to gracefully and easefully let the goddess in. Because she had been on the outside for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I had been connecting with her and I had been contacting her. And to me, the goddess is like the divine energy that we all carry
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
So the divine is like a piece of you and it has its own intelligent, energetic field, its own full intelligence connected directly to the divine. And so I was being guided from her in a way that was like, I could feel her like push my hand. But when I did ayahuasca, I could feel her like she was wearing my hand as a glove. So it was like this difference where she was like on the inside of me now, like blossoming from there.
That's so cool.
And it was such magic. And I felt like a toddler, like
Really?
relearning my body.
I always love to ask people about their experiences because everyone's is so different.
Yeah.
So different.
And I find it's very dependent on your intention. So like I had a very singular intention.
Yeah.
And it was like the people who had sort of a more amorphous, less specific intention had these more amorphous, less specific experiences. And the medicine is intelligent in that if like I was going through these huge shakes, so my entire body was like shaking for hours the first night that I did it. And what I learned is that's like the energy that needs to clear
Purging.
in order for you to move into this new piece. Yeah. And so there was like this violent shaking at points, but I was totally silent. I was like laying on the ground, like shaking in silence.
Yeah. So you remember the whole experience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You remember the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Even though it goes deep, you still remember. And I remember thinking one time, like, can we let up for a second?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it all stopped and it all just completely relaxed. And then I like got a breather and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go in again. And then the shaking began again.
Really?
Yeah. So
See, and that's how powerful our words are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and setting intentions and
Hmm.
with everything and anything.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, people had absolutely magical experiences.
Everybody always does.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I feel like I'm the last one. Everybody's done it, but I definitely want it to be very intentional and with the right people and just the right setting. So I know it's coming soon. I feel it. It's like creeping up.
Yeah.
Okay, so your upcoming workshops, when are the next couple?
Yeah, so the next one is November 10th, and that's the Primal Shadow play
And that one's here at Mystic
here at
Movement.
Mystic
Yes.
Movement. And then my next one is December 8th, and those are both on Sundays. And that one is Glow Tantric Energy Work.
Ooh, that
So,
one sounds
yes.
awesome. I mean, they all sound awesome, but
Mhm.
I know I had told you last time, I'm like, okay, the next one, I'm gonna go. So I'm giving you my word on air that
Yes.
I am going to attend one by the end of the year. So those are the last two
Those are the last two for this year.
before the end of the year. Oh
Mhm.
boy. Okay. So November 10th and December 8th.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm definitely gonna do that because I want to be able to experience this. And Lona actually has a discount if you want to go ahead and tell people about that.
Yeah, so with the coaching, I find that people don't really know what to expect because it's not your traditional life coaching. We're not talking about like your goals,
Yeah.
where you're headed. We're going deep into the somatic experience of the body. And what that means is we're dropping out of the mind and we're listening to the sensations in the body. And the sensations will tell you everything. So the trauma, the difficulty of your life is trapped in your body because the body does not know what to do. The mind does not know what to do when these big
Mm-hmm.
traumas happen. And so it stores it in the body, hoping that later you'll be ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
But so many people go their entire lives
Oh, I
without
know.
dealing with it. And so what we do is I get you into the body using tantric practices,
Okay.
breath, movement, sound, that kind of stuff. And then I open you up to explore the sensations in the body. So we actually get into like this reality of you getting your desires. The first step is we build a desire that you want when it comes to sex, love, and relationships.
Okay.
And what the reason that we go through sex, love, and relationships is because this is where you're the most vulnerable. So wherever you're the most vulnerable, the most blockages and resistance and objections will show up because that's where you're most vulnerable. So when we start to heal it in the sex, love, and relationship realm, that actually ripples out to the rest of your life. So if you have trouble surrendering and receiving in your whole life, we go to the sex, love, and relationships and discover where it started when it comes to those three things. And then that will heal and
Yeah.
expand all the other aspects of your life where you can't receive, where you can't surrender. And so I like to really talk about what the coaching
Yeah,
is to give
absolutely.
people an idea.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than actually talking to me about it because
Yeah.
people have tons of questions.
Yep.
So today I'm actually offering $1,000 off the coaching package if you tell me that you listen to this podcast and you book a Bliss Blueprint discovery call. So, in the absolutely complimentary discovery call, we actually go into your desire and discover if this is aligned with the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also gives me an opportunity to explain more of the ways, like sort of the blueprint of how we would work through your specific problem.
So you kind of do custom coaching, like
Yeah.
depending on the person. And okay.
Yeah, there's similar like modules, I'll
Yeah.
call them, that we're going to go through, but
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going to show up.
Yeah.
So we're going to deal with your inner child, but I don't know if your inner child needs safety or they need companionship or
Mm.
they need to feel like they belong or they feel ashamed of whatever's happened. So it's completely unknown where we'll go, but we're going to meet the inner child in whatever session that is.
Okay. I'm like sitting here just listening. I'm like, I want to sign up for this. We need to work something out because that sounds,
Yes.
I'm all about doing the healing and the inner work. And
Mhm.
it gets frustrating when you try and do all these things, but yet not a whole lot's coming up. But as you're talking about this, I'm like, yeah, that's something different that I haven't done.
Yeah, you don't see it many places. I really haven't seen anyone else do it.
Yeah.
And Layla Martin is the one who came up with the entire thing. So she studied Tantra for over 20 years, like
Wow.
in India, and studied Neo Tantra here. And then she also has studied all sorts of psychology type stuff, and somatic psychology is like the cutting edge of
Mm-hmm.
psychology. Of course. And she's all of these amazing mastery pieces together into this coaching program.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the packages I sell are between 10 and 15 sessions.
Yeah.
And in 10 or 15 sessions, we're going to make extraordinary progress
Oh, I
towards
bet.
your desires.
And how long are the sessions usually?
An hour.
An hour. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we'll meet like every week or every other week. I try to go at your pace
Yeah.
because sometimes a lot comes up and
Yeah.
you're like, I
It's too
gotta,
much for
yeah,
some people.
yeah.
Okay.
But as long as we're going at your pace and I really let you like lead the session. So like I never come to a session with like, okay, we're gonna do this.
Mm,
It's more like, hey, we can go this direction, we can go this direction. Tell me how you're feeling today in your
yeah.
body, what you're open to. And there's like points where I'll push people a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but really you want to empower people instead of push people.
Yeah.
And
Because
they
when you
always
push
feel
them, it kind of pulls them back.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
my
shutting
gosh.
them down.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love you and I love what you're doing and so proud of you. Hold me to this. I'm going to be attending one of these workshops and
You
let's
heard it.
definitely, yeah, everybody heard it. And then we will put Lona's contact info down below. Any last words? I know you'll be back on again because we have several other topics that I'm dying to talk to Lona about on air. So,
Yes, baby. I invite people to question where they heard about Tantra and where they heard about pleasure and their body. And from this inquiry, I encourage you to just explore like, what could happen if I did radically accept what was here right now? What would happen in my life if I stopped resisting everything that came up and started allowing my nervous system to open and move towards my desires? Because I find that what like you'll do an amazing plant medicine journey,
yeah.
let's say, and you make all these breakthroughs and all this stuff comes through. And then after a couple weeks, you go right back to the old pattern.
Mhm.
This is why somatic work is so much more expansive because we're dealing with the issues at the root of the problem. So really investigating what would it look like for me to open myself sexually with love and in relationships? What am I missing in my life? And what do I truly desire? Someone asked me this the other day. When it comes to manifesting, what's the most important thing?
Mm.
And I said, knowing what you truly want.
That is beautiful. And that reminds me, I just came across this documentary. Have you ever seen Awakening Mind, Know Thyself?
No.
Oh my goodness. It is so good. There's a part 1 and part 2. It's probably the best thing I've ever watched. So I've been telling everybody about it and just it pretty much brings you back to who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes deep into it. So definitely check that out. It was incredible.
Yeah, I would say Tantra is also very into like, who am I?
Yeah.
And this investigation of like, if I remove everything that is not mine, like that was put there by my parents or society or my school or my friends or whatever it is, if I could get through all of that and wade through, there's like an essential piece of you that's underneath all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to liberate in the workshops and in the coaching is getting people in touch with that most essential, authentic piece of themselves.
I love that. And I heard this quote, the less you fear, the more you become.
Yes.
Right? Did I say that
Yes.
right? Yeah. So it's just, and anything that scares you, get comfortable being uncomfortable, whatever you resist
Yes.
persistence. Like we have all this knowledge, but we're humans and we're programmed. So it's
Mhm.
unlearning. It takes time and you got to have patience, but it is so worth it and so rewarding.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the way that I unlearn my patterns is through that somatic work by meeting it exactly where it is and giving it what it needs
Yeah.
so that it can step aside.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will see you guys soon.